Hey there, welcome to Hermit Haven. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jackie. We're so excited to invite you into our safe space. Hermit Haven is like a cozy little hideout where we get to celebrate being confident in ourselves as we find happiness in quiet moments.
So grab your favorite blanket and your favorite drink, and let's dive into today's episode.
Hi, I'm Jackie. Welcome back to Hermit Haven.
Hi, I'm Ashley. We're so excited to have you this week. This week we're talking about expectations and how they're your responsibility. I think so many times we create expectations on ourselves, on other people, and it usually backfires on no matter what it is. Right? We expect we're going to be able to show up because we are going to skip it today, but we'll do it tomorrow. And then that doesn't work out. Or we get we're expecting someone to show up for us in a certain way. And because it's our expectation, we get mad because they don't do what we assume they're going to do. I feel like this is just one of those topics that we think so many times it's the other person, but really it's us because your feelings are are created by your thoughts. And so you're thinking all these things. So now you're feeling all these things.
It's so hard because communication, they always say, communication is the biggest thing in a friendship and a relationship. I mean, with yourself, right? So it's when you have this, you think this is how it's going to go in your head. And I know a lot of people are like me, we like to plan, right? And it's hard to plan for life because you never know how something's going to turn out. But we like to be okay, it's almost like a safety thing. This is how it's going to go. This is what I'm going to do. This is what's going to happen. But when it comes to someone else in the mix, you cannot control someone else. And so sometimes we have this plan in our head. And then when it doesn't go according to plan, we get upset, right? Because we've already built this safety net, if you will. And so then it doesn't go according to plan. And then you're you're out of control. But you end up getting almost upset at the other person sometimes because you're well, I thought this is what was going to happen. But most of the times, we've never communicated what we actually wanted to happen. It's one of those things that our spouse is well, I shouldn't have to tell you to XYZ. And it's well, if you expect them to do that, then you do need to tell them XYZ. I'm sorry. And if they don't do it, that's a whole other issue. But
can't read minds. No one can read minds. I feel like expectations is you trying to do a magic trick. You're I'm gonna think all these things, and you have to now read my mind that I thought all these things. And it's
yeah.
No one can read minds. I love this. Again, this is really one of those things that can go into any example. So it could be your relationship with someone. It could be your expectations on yourself. It can be maybe work, wherever you are. I feel all the time we're creating expectations and I think that's awesome. Sometimes if you think about it, that means that you're thinking someone can live up to their highest potential. Right?
True.
Or you think that they're capable of doing this thing, or you're capable of understanding you on such a deep level that you don't need to communicate that. But sometimes also it might mean that you're kind of putting things that you think of yourself onto someone else, right? Maybe you're the one that thinks this way to, I don't know, cook and bake the chicken a certain way. I don't know, thinking dinner, I guess. But let's say you make the chicken recipe this certain way, right? You're I'm going to do it in steps and this is how I'm going to do it. And then the other person's I just need an hour and I'm going to make it all right now and then, right? And so you're expecting them maybe to later on, cook their meal. And then today they're oh, I'm going to change it up and I'm going to do it in steps. So now you're oh my gosh, my whole schedule's messed up, blah, 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 blah. You're right? Because you're expecting something out of someone, right? Instead of communicating in that situation, right? So I feel I don't know, there's just so many times I feel too, it's we're creating a schedule for someone else, or we're creating that schedule for us.
I don't know why I always think of, or when we talk about this, I'm thinking of the dishes. I don't know why the dish just came in my mind. Well, it's because I know a lot of women, they're well, why is my husband not do the dishes? Why are they not taking care of the dishes? They should just know that the dishwasher, to empty it. They should just know, and I get it. I'm very lucky to have a husband that does help with dishes, but it could be anything. It could even be not even a spouse. It could just be you have a roommate, right? I just remember when I had roommates, the dishes were always a thing. There's dishes in the sink, there's dishes, whatever. But until you communicate this, hey, the dishwasher needs to be emptied. I can't do it right now. Can you do it? Yeah. I think sometimes we're nervous, and I even feel this sometimes with Glenn. And I mean, I've been married for I don't know how many years. I've been together with Glenn probably for 16 years. Not married, but six together there for 16 years. And sometimes even still, I'm like, well, I don't want to say this. And then he gets upset at me for telling him, how to put this certain thing in or how to do whatever. But then I expect him to just know it. And I don't know. I don't know if sometimes we as women, like, we just want them almost like even though dishes aren't very romantic, but like we'd want them to like take care of us in like a romantic way. And so if they're not doing certain things, we're like, oh, they don't care. And it's like, well, maybe they just didn't think of that. Like you had the idea, but maybe they didn't. And maybe their ideas are different from yours and they have good ideas, but they're just choosing
Yeah.
sense. It's not making sense. Yeah, I just think communication, it's just so important. And I know that we want them to, or someone else, whoever it is, to do whatever we want them to do, but it's not always going to work out like that. And unless you say it, you can't expect someone to do it the way that you want them to do it.
100%. I think too, I think you have to be open-minded when it doesn't go like the way you expected it to go, because that's, again, these are thoughts in your head. Like even if you expressed yourself, right? It might not go the same way because someone might not still understand it the way you understand it.
Yeah,
I
they might
think
not see it exactly.
it's I think s- I think this topic is so hard. Sometimes I think too people get mad because they expect you to show up emotionally a certain way for some, like, for you, or they expect you to like handle a situation a certain way, or like they expect you to know something because they told you,
Yeah,
right? Like, and we're playing, and I think the hard part is trying to then communicate, like you keep saying communication, is like trying to communicate like, okay, I understand that's how you feel, but that's how you feel.
right.
And having someone accept that, and I think then that it goes vice versa, right? If you're getting mad at someone for how you feel, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. It's beautiful that we are all human and all different, and we all have different thoughts and different feelings. It's a beautiful thing, but sometimes it can be a really hard thing because we all have different thoughts and feelings and how we would do something and how we would show up for someone. And it's hard when we're like, well, they should be doing this for me. What this just happened and they should be showing up. And why is no one showing up for me? And it's like, well, they first of all might not know that that's how you want them to show up. And we're just running our own lives. Like we're all just trying to survive in the
Yeah.
world. So that can be a really hard thing for sure, showing up for others.
I think too, we sometimes forget that we are maybe not as busy in our life in this current season, but someone else might be super busy in their season that they're in. And so we're expecting someone to show up because we now have the time. So we're like, oh, I have an open schedule, come hang out. But now that schedule might be busy. And so we're getting mad because we're not making time. And I think that was the hardest lesson for me, was to stop expecting anything from anyone. Like, stop expecting. Instead, it's like ask for help, ask for favors, communicate what you need, but be okay with the answer is no. Be okay with it doesn't work out. Be okay with having to follow up to make sure things are working out the way they need to work out. Otherwise, you need to do what's best for you. And that might be, okay, I can't assume this person's going to get the job done. They're not showing up the way I need them to show up, or they're not communicating, they're doing the task I need them to do correctly, right? And there might be, I don't know, sometimes we get, and sometimes it's just who we are, right? Sometimes we need to have a task done a certain way. And sometimes we have to be open, though, that people are going to do the task differently.
Yep.
So, and that's okay too, right? But this is part of it. So if you want help, you need to be open to how that person helps you, but it goes both ways. So you need to not assume, well, if I told this person this advice, they're going to go do what like I said to do, right? Like, so many times you, like, someone's like, "Oh, well, I think you should do this." And then they're expecting to go do it, and you're like, "That's cool, but, like, I don't believe that, so why am I doing that?" And so then you are assuming now, "Oh, well, I have to go do that thing," and, like, I think it's a heavy thing, like, you're carrying a heavy thing, like, what do I do with someone else's assumptions, and what do I do with my own assumptions? Like, how do I navigate, right, a correct story here? Like, how do I accept what someone else is telling me to do, and then how do I deal with the thoughts like, "Oh, they're assuming I'm gonna go do it. Oh, but what if I don't wanna do that? Now how do I handle this?" And I think what's great about this topic alone is really taking it to the fact is like, we need to understand, like, there's a division. Like, these are my feelings, this is the other person's feelings. It's okay to be worried that someone might feel something else because I didn't accept what they had to say. They might be, oh, it's okay. That means you're human. That means you feel other things, right? You feel other people's emotions. But we need to understand that I can't let someone else's assumptions get to me, and I need to understand that my assumptions on myself and someone else is just my assumptions, and it's okay if that's not what happens.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, it all comes down to communication, like I said, but it's hard when, everyone's different and everyone has a different idea of how things should go. And it's like if I tell the kids to do something and they do it, but they don't do it exactly how I would do it, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to tell them this part of it. There's a part I left out, and therefore they didn't do it the way that I would have done it because I forgot to tell them. So I can't be upset at them for doing it differently because I didn't tell them all the different ways that they needed to complete the task, right? Like I forgot something, and that's everyone. Just because someone's an adult doesn't mean that they know exactly what you need and how you need it and when to do
Yeah.
it and all the things. And moving from that topic really quick to like our own expectations, because you brought that up, and I really didn't even think of that when we were talking when we were started talking about this. Gosh, that's like even one of the hardest things, and we're our own person, so we know what we want and how we want. Well, we mostly do. Usually, sometimes I don't. But the expectations that we put on ourselves can be our downfall for sure. I've seen that in my own life. And the amount of, even just the amount of day to day, the amount of things that I think that I can get done in a day is not correct at all. It's not. And I'm really struggling. That's something I'm currently really struggling with in life. Like I'm working on, actively working on trying to write down what I'm doing throughout the day so that I can see, like, you were just literally busy the whole day. You didn't, besides when you wrote down that you were maybe reading for a little while and whatever, but like you were literally moving throughout the whole day and you couldn't get done the whole list because you physically don't have enough time. And that's not even just the only thing, but just putting those expectations on yourself of like what you it's good to have expectations. Like it's a great thing to like want more and to grow and do more, but sometimes the timing of when we think things should happen is not correct.
Yeah, I think too, like it's such a where's the healthy, like where do you draw the line between motivating yourself, right? And like creating goals to these are just too much. Like I'm putting too much on my plate, even, right? So now I'm expecting myself to show up and inconvenience my own schedule to something, right? Maybe there's a better way to like set it up. And so I think you're correct. Like it's, how many times are we creating more expectations than goals setting, like boundary, like good, habits.
Yeah.
We have to set boundaries with ourselves too. Like it's okay to show up to maybe 3 workouts in my, and max 4 workouts. Like I don't need to go to 5. Like that extra day could be a time for myself, right? And I expect that I do take time to myself, right? So maybe changing those expectations from like a bad thing to a good thing. Like I expect that this person is going to call because that person is amazing. I expect that I am going to be able to show up to for someone, even if it just looks like a quick, like, hope you're doing good text, right? Like, I think so many times we look at it in a bad light, right? I expect that that person's going to do something negative. This person's going to act out this way. I expect that my child's behavior is not going to be able to handle something, right? How many times are we like, oh, I don't know, like, I'm going to get overstimulated. My child's going to have a meltdown. Like, it's almost nap time. And then we end up pushing ourselves, right? We push ourselves out of our comfort zone, right? We kind of like are like, all right, I'm going to drop those terrible expectations that this is all not going to work out. And I drop those terrible expectations. So, and then I push myself out of my boundaries, push myself out of my comfort zone, and I go, okay, I'm going to go do that thing. And it ends up being the best thing ever. Or, that 5 extra minutes in the bath, it ends up being like the funniest laughs ever, right? Like, we so many times put these expectations that if I don't show up XYZ, do it this way, do it that way, then I will be able to then follow whatever the protocol of the day is, the schedule of the day, the rules of the day is. And I think that sometimes is like our downfall too of expectations is we take it as a negative light. Like, oh, if we don't do this, like this is gonna happen. Like we need to instead stop creating these expectations on bad and good. Like, okay, if I do this, who knows what's going to happen? Or if I say what I have to say, I don't know if this person's actually going to act out. Like, yes, that is their behavior in the past, but maybe like they're going to hear me and be able to take this. And I think sometimes we then have to realize too, it's not someone else, it's how we were taught. or how someone else reacted to something and then we thought that was okay, right? So I think really with expectations, it's one of those hot topics where we don't realize that we have to, again, always work on ourselves, work on how we handle it, work on that. These might be old patterns. I'm bringing in a new situation, and I could have healthy expectations. I can have a healthy, like, I can do it all, and I can be healthy with my relationships and not expect others to do a certain thing, and I can be healthy with myself.
Yeah, I can do it all, but there has to be almost like a limit to how much that
Yeah.
actually is. So, yeah, I agree. Expectations are a good thing. They're a good thing because they, first of all, like help you feel more safe when it comes to like an expectation of where you're going and what you're doing. And like my brain likes to have a plan and kind of think like this might happen, but you have to be able to be flexible with your expectations because most of the time you can control most things, and it's just probably not going to go the way that you want it to. And especially if it's a one-on-one or like a communication with work or whatever, and there needs to be that communication there. If that hasn't happened, then it probably won't go the way that you think it will. So like it's just a different layers. And then with yourself, it's just like being, putting like your love for yourself at like the priority of it all, because otherwise you can let those expectations like tear you down. And that's not the point. The point is to, yes, like expect more of yourself and have a higher standard because you want to grow and you want to learn and
Yeah.
you want to do more and like become a better person and have more love and all the things, but also, know that you can only do so much in a certain period of time. You have to like almost long term it. Like
Yeah.
think longer term. We like to think in like such short terms, I think, because everything's so quick in the world. But when you think in long term, like a year from now, I could totally get in the best shape of my life. But if
Yeah.
I'm thinking in like 3 months, like it's a little bit harder, right? Like it's the expectation.
I think this is a good place to end it in a sense because I feel like we got to a good point here where there's two types of expectations. Basically, we need to take this like negative thoughts and stop bringing expectations that are like from the past, right? We're carrying this like heavy weight when we're expecting someone to do something, when we're expecting for us to like show up, even though we know we've never showed up like that, or we're like bringing
Yeah.
in this like, oh, it was a miserable time the last time we did this, so I expect it's going to be a miserable time again, right? We're bringing that like negative energy in when we have these expectations. Instead, turn those expectations like, I expect that I will be able to in a year get into the best shape. I do expect that, I am going to be able to live debt free. I do expect that my kids are going to have an amazing time. Last time it was just what it was, right? Like, I expect that even though I want to put this on my schedule, I expect at least 3 of these things will get done out of the 8 things I'm putting on my schedule, right?
Yep.
So I think this is a great point to end it because in reality, we found the key. We need to flip how we're saying it. We need to flip this negative Nancy, like, oh, wow, 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 to, yeah, I expect that will happen. I expect that my friends will show up for me, even if it's just a hey text or it's a hey comment, right? We need to stop expecting the way people act are gonna, this is how they're gonna show up for us, right? Instead, we're gonna be like, yeah, they're gonna show up. Blake, right? I'm going through something. I expect other people to understand. No, I'm going through something. It's okay if someone doesn't understand. I expect for me to love myself in this time and understand.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so simple. I love this. Like, it's really the key secret. Like, we need to stop. I think, and everything is when you're in an argument with someone and someone is putting assumptions on you, right? Because we do this all the time, right? How many arguments are really just someone assuming you did something wrong, or assuming you should have did it a certain way, or
Yeah, or
assuming.
you said it a certain way. That happened with me and Glenn the other day.
Exactly, right? Instead, it's take a moment and say, wait, is this argument about me, or is this argument about their assumptions about me?
And you could even say, hey, this is how it sounded. Is that how you meant it? Or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, communicate it. Communicate it. And
It's
it's
also okay
hard,
to
but
say, wait, I need a second. I need to process what you're saying. And if you feel what they're saying has nothing to do with you and it's everything to do about them, you could say, hey, I understand this is your viewpoint. And unfortunately, like, we're not seeing eye to eye. Maybe we
yeah.
can find something though we can figure out together. Like,
Yeah, I forget how he says it in my book that I love so
oh
much.
my gosh.
But he says like when you can get to the point in your life when you can stop and take what they're saying, and he was saying it in a way where like they were saying something negative about you, and so you stop and you say, wait, is that really true? No, it's not. So you can just like let it go. But that really works in the situation too, because when you're communicating with someone and you're expecting something, it doesn't go the way, or they're expecting of you, whatever, being able to not get heated about it and just stop and be like, wait, I think that this was just an expectation I had or that they had, and like it wasn't going right. So like, let's chat about it. Like, I know it's hard to do in the moment. I'm definitely not perfect at it. But like, oh my gosh, what a different life you would live. Like, what a more peaceful life you would live.
Yeah. I think also you could even say, sorry, I love that idea. I'm going to go on another tangent real quick, but I think you can even say expectations is like almost like a safety net, like you were saying earlier, right? Like, just want to go back to that point too. Like, you put yourself in check. Remember, last episode was checking in, or I think a couple episodes ago was checking in. Maybe like 4 or 5 episodes ago was checking in, and we talked about like how important it is to check in. Like, I feel like expectations can be another way of checking in if you use it in a positive way. If you're like, I expect that I'm going to show back up and do my night routine after I did my morning routine. I expect that I'm going to show up and have breakfast tomorrow, right? Like, I love it.
Yeah. Love it.
We'll leave you here. We'll see you next Wednesday. We'll see you every Wednesday. Thanks for chit-chatting with us. Come find us. If you enjoy this, share this with a friend and let us know that this was something you enjoy so we can make more episodes like this. Have a good one.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for spending time with us today and being part of our Hermit Haven community.
We hope you enjoyed our cozy chat and are inspired to embrace your inner hermit.
Remember, even in the quiet moments, you're never alone on this journey because we are truly all in this together.
So until next time, stay cozy, stay true to yourself, and keep spreading love wherever you go.
Bye for now.
We'll see you next time.